I broke my right arm just from the force of the impact when I hit a rock while on my quad. It flipped over and landed on me upside down. I only had one arm that wasn't broken, and after what felt like 2 hours, I got it off of me. It probably took more like 5 to 10 minutes though. I was caught in a riptide not knowing how to swim. It's honestly horrible when a wave picks you up and you no longer can feel the ground beneath you. You try your hardest to get back to land, but the wave just keeps dragging you further and further. After that, you start to sink, and it's all a nasty roller coaster of emotions because you go from feeling confusion to horror and finally resignation as your mind tells you, this is it, and you begin to see black. The only reason I survived was because a couple of surfers happened to notice me and fished me out. I owe my life to Hayden and Ben. I was waiting at the bus stop at 11 a.m. The bus stop is also an Amtrak station. A flood of people get off the train and are waiting. The last person at the bus stop is this homeless guy. He asks everyone one by one for some money. Not being an ass or anything, just asking. He looks kinda drunk or high, slightly off balance. He asks me. I say no. Everyone says no. He starts walking off towards the station. The bus is pulling up. The guy trips and falls into the gutter right in front of the bus. Lands head first between the bus wheel and the sewer gate. Head shredder 9000. The bus stops. People scream. I walk over. Nothing there but stretched skin under the tire. I couldn't look for more than a second. Screams everywhere. I remember seeing a video online from China of a mother taking her infant on a stroller to some sort of mechanic or welder. The lady parked the stroller on the edge of the sidewalk just as a huge trailer/large vehicle was passing through. The lady turns around for a split second, and the stroller slides backwards. Baby strapped in the stroller lands on its back onto the street. Without missing a beat, the trailer's huge tire presses down on the baby's head, killing it instantly. After that, the mother looks back and screams in horror at the sight of her dead baby. I fell into a 15-foot ditch when walking in total darkness. Struggled for hours to get out, multiple concussions, and many broken bones. Kept falling back down again because it was so slippery. Black widow spiders everywhere on the plants I tried pulling myself up with. Bites all over my hands. Some dude on the bike saw me and called the paramedics. The paramedics had to lower a ladder down to get me. I almost died. An old lady had a heart attack while driving, according to the official story, and ran a stop sign and went across the road, slamming into a tree directly next to my school bus. We were the only vehicle there. The bus driver was like, "Fuck, I got to report this, and I can't just bail even though there are kids on the bus." And a unconscious woman slumped off the wheel and the car jammed up a tree right next to us. Besides that, I don't think I've ever seen anyone else die. I work as a first response mortuary assistant. See some pretty heavy shit on a weekly basis. Will never forget the first time I had to pick up a decomposed body. Basically, I just bag and tag bodies that need to be released for autopsy or transportation to another mortuary. Most of the deceased are elderly, but sometimes they're young, even kids, which sucks to see. Been doing this for a while, so it really doesn't bother me. The smell is the worst part. Mortuaries smell like hell. Sometimes get to see crazy shit though. Had to wait for a brain to be removed the other week of a guy who donated his body to science. I know the guy who owns the autopsy center, and he asked if I wanted to see the brain removal. It wasn't as bad as I expected. Took about 10 minutes. It was just weird seeing the skin of the head fold back like a beanie after he removed the top of the skull. and the brain only weighs about a pound and has a snot-like consistency. Never thought I'd hold a human brain, but hey. Almost drowned and on here. Not to minimize your experiences, but to add my own. I was about 6 years old when I almost drowned, and I remembered it being weirdly super peaceful. I wasn't in an ocean or anything, just a pool, but I remember sitting at the bottom of the pool just staring up at the sunlight coming through the water, and just waiting to die, being probably one of the most peaceful moments of my life. This literally happened yesterday. 225 pounds fell on my calves because the bench press fork fell over somehow. Now I have a dent under my right calf. It hurts like shit, and I walk like I have shit in my pants. Not near death, but I'm glad it didn't hit me elsewhere. I drove by a crash with multiple motorcyclists at a rather infamous double turn on a freeway, with 2 motorists being resuscitated and some bodies just lying there. I was going downhill on my bike, braked too hard on a double left-right turn, almost got on the oncoming lane and avoided a pickup truck by just centimeters. I was so fast, I only realized what happened a few minutes later. I was on my second tour of Afghanistan, watched a kid run across an IED and get pink misted. I was skiing, it was bad weather, low clouds, and at some point I had what is called a whiteout. My whole field of vision was white, couldn't distinguish between the sky and the ground, and suddenly I fell, as I had been skiing into a cliff. I didn't even know what happened. I fell about 32 feet, luckily into the snow, but got some bruises though. The time that I came close to death was the absolute closest, from what my father told me. When I was a baby, I accidentally cut a gaping hole from my lower neck to my belly button. I was bleeding and crying. My father and uncle immediately put a lot of cloths on me and got me into my father's car and drove me to the hospital, but it was closed. My father wanted to go back to the house and get more cloths. At that point, I was bleeding heavily and no amount of cloths or bandages could save me. My uncle knew the city better than my father at the time. He knew a hospital that wasn't closed, so he made my father drive us there. It was further than the one we came to, but my father got us there in time. The doctors rushed me in and they put me on a bed. They immediately got to work and I survived. So many things could have gone wrong, and so many times it came close to going wrong. I still have a long scar going from my lower neck to my belly button. I did a night shift delivery for some fresh fish to a restaurant about a 90-minute drive away. There wasn't much traffic, and this far north it doesn't get dark in the summertime. I was passed by 2 vehicles. About 30 minutes later, I see both of them again. One of them in the middle of the road with a large brown mass that I thought at first was a tree trunk embedded in the front of the vehicle. The second vehicle had its hazards on. The first car drove straight into a moose. The driver passed away from his injuries. The moose was very alive and agitated with broken limbs. Police euthanized it once they arrived to the scene about 35 minutes later after the ambulance crew. The 911 operator told us not to attempt removing the moose from the vehicle, so we wouldn't get hurt or further hurt the driver and the passengers of the vehicle. I'm kinda sure the guy suffocated slowly underneath the writhing mass of the moose while I and other people from the other cars watched. Working in an ER, gunshot wound on the way. Dude shot himself under the chin and blew out his front teeth and most of his lips, then shot himself in the temple. Surprisingly, he was still breathing. I held his brains in his unstable skull for 45 minutes until the organ harvesters arrived. negligent discharge with a single action revolver. I dropped it out of my holster when I sat on the couch, and it fell on a loaded chamber. The bullet went across the side of my head and through the ceiling. It was 10 p.m. walking back home after my part-time job. Random guy comes out the alley, points a gun at me, and asks me to throw my backpack and wallet at him. The guy warns me if I move, he will shoot me. Almost shitting my pants, so I just do what he asks. He opened my backpack and puts my wallet in, and then tells me to walk into the alley. Well, I guess that's it. Suddenly, the guy starts running. Apparently, he panicked after seeing the reflection of cop lights. The cops managed to apprehend him, and I got my stuff back. Turns out the gun he had didn't even have bullets. I got extremely lucky, cause in Mexico, someone can kill you for less than $1.